Well, we are 27th of December, Friday, 2024, and it's early night, 7:58 p.m. It's a little bit earlier. It's not that late. 7:58, Friday night, and I want to practice a little bit of English as well. Figure out how the sound is. Still some issues with the sound. Apparently, 26th of December, the transmission sound was bad. And I don't know exactly what happened there because all the settings in this app were just as before, so I don't know exactly what happened, why it sounds bad. But I edited the video again and enhanced the sound quality of it and I published it on YouTube. I might publish it under the comments on that day video, the one that sounds bad, and I will put in that commentary section the enhanced audio that video that I upload about that live stream, because it sounded very very low, and I don't know if that was happening only in the computer transmissions, because when I was monitoring it on the smartphones apparently it sounded good, but I don't monitor it sound on the PC live stream on that day video, the one that sounds bad, and I will low, and I don't know if that was happening only in the well, so far so good. I'm trying to monitor this time the feed of this live stream on social media a little bit, so I can as well check on the sound from one in the meantime, as I'm doing this, I like to try as well English, so I can practice it a little bit, and I have a lot of contacts in my social media that actually speak English, so I think that for them it's a little bit difficult. For those that don't know how to speak Spanish, it might be a little bit difficult to, if they listen to try to see my live streams. I don't know exactly if how many of them are actually seeing them but I think it's a more universal language, English, than Spanish, so I guess I can do this as well. And I was talking in my live streams in Spanish about a situation that is happening in the internet worldwide, and that currently is being discussed in several international forums. And I guess this is important as well. It's important to have all this information in perspective, because too much is going on. There's too much things going on at the same time, and some of these things are a little bit wild, and some people are acting like a little bit crazy. I've been putting in my timeline a little bit about the politics in the United States of America, and it's not looking good. Over here, it's not looking good as well. So I don't know. It's intense. And I think all this situation happening around the world in many places in terms related to politics is going out of control in many places, and in the United States it has been happening more often than we think, and many persons or people are being affected by this I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. But this is there for everyone to see. And when Donald Trump won the presidency, the elections, many people started to behave weird. I mean, off. Some people cut the hair. Other persons were talking about doing sterilization or some bad reactions like that. It's wild, but nevertheless, I think many of these things has been fomented, has been promoted indirectly by all the situation happening with social media now, with these tools that we have for communication that many times are twisted. I think some people made some twists, and that's when we start to see problems in some persons around the world, and some bad reactions, especially with politics on some 2 or 3 different subjects. And I guess in the United States it's been more clearly, the situation is happening more wide open, more obvious than in other places. And let's hope that in this January 20th, when Donald Trump enters the presidency in the United States, many of these situations start to change. First of all, I think the national debt in the United States is crazy. $36 trillion is one of the first things that the next presidency has to address. It's unsustainable for the United States to keep this kind of debt, and when you enter the page, it's totally unacceptable to have these numbers in the United States. I mean, it's very complicated, a very complicated scenario where you have this number going up. It's not looking good. And compared with China, for example, China only has $7 trillion in debt, in national debt. So the United States it cannot allow itself to let this debt grow more than it already has. And I don't know, I think it's gonna be a very, very, very bad challenge, big challenge to address this. And I think there's a lot of work that has to be done in the United States to address all that problem. That's a big problem in the United States. And they have to do many work if they want to do something about it, because they are is currently the country with the highest debt in the world, in the entire world. So it's not looking good for United States of America. These numbers going like skyrocket, high, up, and it is looking very, very bad. It's looking very, very bad, and many other countries don't surpass the 2 trillion national debt. So they are far off. I don't know if the United States is going to be able to recover from that amount of debt. It's just too much. And BRICS is currently taking the central role, the key role in the world. And I don't know which currency they're going to be using in the BRICS. But I believe that the BRICS are going to be the main economic group or association for in the next years is going to be definitely with all the BRICS countries, and I don't know which currency are they going to be using, but definitely that group of nations is going to lead economics in the next years. I see very clearly, very clearly, and that's a very bad news for the United States. And definitely it's gonna be very interesting next decades, because I don't know if it's going to be the yuan or what currency is going to lead the international economic system, but I don't see it. I actually don't see the dollar being nowhere near the leadership that it had in the past. It's gonna be very far away from what it used to be, and I think the yuan, or I don't know, maybe another currency is going to be leading this new economics. And yeah, it's very intense to see this situation developing in the United States. It's going to be very interesting how this plays, because they are losing many influence in economics, and the next years are going to be interesting in the economic side. I believe that probably China is going to be is going to be having a more leadership role than before. But I know we will have to wait and see how this plays, and it's going to be very interesting. And the internet as well is going to be one of the most important industries in the next years. It already is, and I don't know. I see many situations on the balance. You know, if BRICS becomes more relevant, it's going to move away from many things that the US is currently pushing in economics. Now I think it's going to be many factories more centered in Asia, and we're going to see other currency being the lead currency around the world. And I don't know how that's going to be changing commerce, e-commerce, for example, electronic commerce, etc. And yeah, I just saw, and I just want to put this one out. I think these guys are very ahead of what we currently are seeing in the civil technology. I think many people are losing sight of the nearby future in the next 10-20 years, and I believe that is going to be centered in BRICS and some aspects of the internet as well. But I think already the European Union is leading this aspect of the internet, the policy aspect of the internet, and the regulation side of the governance side of the internet, and the artificial intelligence, and all these tools, all these technologies, emerging technologies that are going to be applied at the civil level worldwide. They already are talking about this, and in this forum they spoke about all this stuff, and they are actually talking about the role that is going to have artificial intelligence in the next years in every aspect of our lives. And many of these technologies like Neuralink and Starlink and all these type of technologies, they are already starting to talk about how they are going to handle all this, or we are going to unroll or roll over all this situation on the next years worldwide, and very interesting forum, to be honest. And many people are not aware of this type of events worldwide, and those events are leading the issues on the aspects of the internet and technology and many situations that are surrounding us as civilians. And many people are not aware of all this. The European Union, excuse me, regulations, policies about the internet and all this artificial intelligence and all this data collection, these regulations, these privacy subjects or matters, they all are being discussed in this type of events, this type of exercises like this forum. And in this forum is no exception. They talk a lot about the future. They talked about even about interplanetary interconnectivity between the moon and the planet Earth and Mars, for example, using technologies like the internet, and how they can handle that, how they can implement this type of technology in those places, what kind of resources are needed, what kind of knowledge based experience or professionals are needed to do this, implement all this infrastructure. And it's very interesting to hear these discussions be worldwide, and more than 144 countries participated in this year forum, the Internet Governance Forum, the edition 19 edition of 2024. And it was very interesting to see live and how they do this very openly so everyone could participate or see. And I spoke a little bit about it in Spanish, but there's not many people in Latin America that are actually aware of all this, and mainly is in Asia. There were 50% of the participants were Asian based, so that speaks a lot about how Asia is gaining a key lead role in these matters on the internet. And Latin America was only 7%, something like that, between 7 and 12%. So we are very far off. And I was surprised to see that even Africa was more participant than Latin American, even when they are less development. They have less development in their countries, but still they are leading the charge in that aspect. They are more participant than in Latin America. So that was interesting. That was very, very interesting to see how they, despite they not having all this money, these funds, this finance from the government, and all these finances from their government, and all these possibilities, they are pushing the narrative, pushing the investigation, pushing or tackling ahead on these issues, and they were very participants. So that was very, very, very interesting to see. And of course, they are very, very interested in moving away from colonialism, and their participations were very interesting, addressing this issue of colonialism on the internet. And I believe that was very important to see. It was a very important participation from their part, and that was good to see, to be honest. And that's another of the problems that we have in this modern world, modern days. This colonialism that is having a toll in less developed countries, and they are suffering from many situations in their countries because of this old practice of colonialism. So let's hope that our friends from Africa, they can have their chance to get rid of all this colonialism, from these imperialisms, and all the situation that happens over there, because they deserve to have the opportunity to live more in a more free, open society as well. And it was very, very interesting. This forum was from it lasted for 5 days, and it was very, very interesting. Every aspect, every subject, every session that was on this week from this forum. It was a 5-day forum, and there were more than 300 sessions of discussions that were that happened, and we have over here, they are going to, they call them outputs, and there are a lot of documents here from all this situation, and there are still more to come. We still have more documents to come, to be released, to be open. I only see one here, and there are the most important documents. The summary of the most important documents are still for to be in the waiting list to be released. These ones, and very very interesting, and very far ahead, thinking in the future. Many of the discussions. I talked about interplanetary communication systems. They talked about putting the internet everywhere around the world, even in remote places. They talked about privacy, of course, but they talked about a system similar to Starlink that is international, free, and that can actually bring the internet to everywhere, every corner in the world. And they mentioned a project that is currently being developed in England, that is called the Lions Project, where they are launching satellites to communicate the United Kingdom and improve their communication systems in the internet. And I think that was used as an example of how can this be developed at an international level. I thought the same. That that sounds like a good idea, to actually bring free, reliable, secure, open for everyone internet that everyone can access to it for free. That is funded by international at the international level for many countries. I think it is a very workable idea. That is an idea that can actually work, and I think it's very possible. I don't know that they put that on the table, that idea. They didn't develop any more ideas about it. They just put on the table the main idea, no, an internet satellite system of internet communication worldwide that can reach every single remote corner in the world and every remote village in the world, so they can have also access to the internet. And in that way we can achieve equality, inclusiveness in all this. So I'm talking about this a little bit because something very curious happened the other day. I was speaking about this in Spanish, and the audio was very lousy. I don't know what happened. Something with the program. I don't know, but the sound was very very awful, and I don't know actually what happened there. I mean, I got lost on that one, and right now I'm monitoring this live in a desktop as well, because the last time that this happened, I listened to it speaking about this in Spanish in a mobile. The audio was the program in a mobile ecosystem on the smartphones, and when it was saved in the computer, in my Facebook and my other social media as well, and I found out that it was not it didn't have any good sound. So, well, this stuff sometimes happen. I don't know if I misconfigured something. I don't think so. I'm gonna be monitoring this live stream as well to see how it goes, and I hope that it has better sound than the previous one. Not the previous one, the 26th of December one, especially the one that I recorded at night. So far so good in the mobile ecosystem and the smartphone ecosystem. I'm just monitoring here as well in the desktop, because you never know. You never know with technology. I always say about it that technology has no friends, has no loyalty, and sometimes is not good. And I'm just gonna say the very same thing that the Apple CEO said. That technology it should serve you, not the other way around. That's exactly how it should be, not serve from you. And this forum, like the Internet Governance Forums, precisely is addressing all these cybersecurity issues that we faced as users. And there are many things to do still in this area, because the attacks, the cyber attacks, and all these types of vulnerabilities are are very common, and all these people behind all these attacks and all these cybersecurity issues work very hard, and you just need to see how often the Apple, for example, the Apple ecosystem is uploading security updates, because it's is very intense. The attempts of the attempts that hackers do to find different vulnerabilities in these systems, these operative systems. And I remember in 2022, 2023, the Apple ecosystem was updating security fixes every week. Sometimes it was a month, but there were many security patches in the 2022, 2023, and a little bit about 2024. So the situation was not very good, not very friendly for the users. And I don't know. Now it's not that bad. Now I think the Apple ecosystem has managed some level of stability, and the security patches are now less often than they used to be in 2022, 2023, 2021. They were like 3 or 4 years on very often patches. And yeah, it was very bad, and everyone that owns an iPhone remembers how bad it was. And the same for many platforms. I spoke about it in Spanish, how one time I tried to use LastPass company to keep some of my passwords safe, and by the time I was testing it, all of a sudden in that and at the next month it was breached. It had a security breach, and thankfully I didn't store any of my passwords in that company, but that was enough for me to not use it, no, to say no, that's not the right choice for me. And I chose other options that I had at the time to increase my security. And yeah, it's very complicated. If you understand about cybersecurity and all these things that are around it, you see that it's very a little bit exhausting to be on the updated in every aspect of it. Every new breach, every new conclusion of investigation, every new report that the white hackers do, that they find new vulnerabilities in it has to be very exhausting for cybersecurity teams to be addressing all these issues very often. So, and that's the reality of today's internet. Doesn't come without risks. And precisely in this forum, this 2024 19 forum, the forum of the Internet Governance Forum, the IGF, from this year, addressed all these cyber security aspects of the internet, and how there is too many work to do still, and it's very complicated. Indeed, it's very complicated, but there was a lot of people participating from many countries, so this means that many countries are aware of all these challenges that are appearing on the internet. And thankfully there are many people aware of all the situations happening around the world with the internet. And thankfully there are many countries and many developed countries that are very interested in privacy and all these focus, so that when you find the other less developed countries or authoritarian countries or dictatorship countries, they don't have many possibilities to control this aspect of other people's lives, because thankfully sometimes many of these tools, internet tools, are excuse me, are based on the more democratic countries, and so that's a good aspect of it, that you have a little bit of um, extra layer of security, because it's not based on the probable authoritarian or dictatorship or bad countries where these technologies will not be as good as they should be. And well, that's another aspect of it. And yeah, it's kind of a good thing to have this aspect of these tools still in place. I don't know about the future, but as of today, we still have this situation stopping from all other countries to breach these situations. And I don't know what's going to be like in the next 10-20 years. I think it's going to be very different, but this forum is very interesting. I haven't seen this forum before. Well, it was the first time I saw one of these forums, and at the distance, in a remote environment, I could uh, watch it and see all these sessions, all these workshops, and for me it was a very interesting experience. So I wanted to put this on my social media, so everyone that happens to see it by chance or wherever, because you're one of my contacts or wherever, can know that these forums exists and they are important. And I talked about many other stuff that I'm not going to talk about it right now. And I don't know, it's just very very interesting for me to see how all this is developing, all these subjects. And sometimes people say that these kinds of topics are a little bit of nerdy. I don't feel like a nerd, of course, but yeah, I found it very interesting, because it has to do with the everyday life. I don't think that has nothing to do with being a nerd and stuff, because that's just a narrative that people that has nothing to do in their lives just say. And I think it has to do much more with our everyday lives. So we should be more interested in this type of forums. And unfortunately, there was very 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 few people from civil society that actually participated on this forum, and I think it's a very bad a very waste of opportunity, a big waste of opportunities, because we as a civilian society, we use this type of platforms. We are the people that actually use these platforms to communicate, to be in touch with our loved ones, to maybe do businesses, to sell and wherever. And sometimes we don't give this feedback to these companies. This forum is a very good opportunity for us as civil society to give some kind of feedback to these developers, to these governments, to all these regulations, to all these policies that are being created on these forums, as a result of these forums, this type of forums. And sadly, there are no many user-based participation, because we as a civil society, we are users of these platforms. We are some kind of clients, if you want to see it like that. And I believe in every business, in every company that deals with users, consumers, or clients, the most important aspect of every experience or whatever is client, the user, or the product itself, the experience with the product. So if we as civil society don't involve more in these kinds of forums and express our feedback, what we think it could improve in all these platforms like Facebook and all this, is going to be very difficult for them to actually make this experience more useful, more more focused on what we want as client users or product consumers of a product, consumable or not consumable, or about technology or about a tool, wherever. That's something that we are not seeing, and hopefully is it this change in the future, because they actually talked about in this forum about inviting and promoting this type of the information about this event, so many more civil society can know about it and participate about in it, whatever. Doesn't matter if it's presential, being in the event, in a presential present in the at the event, physically present at the event, or via remotely, in a very internet or distance, remotely on your computer at your house or at your work, wherever. But as long as more people are participating in these types of discussions, better results are we're going to get as users of these same platforms, because they are talking about regulating all these stuffs and all this stuff. And if they don't get the feedback from us, the users, the civil society, it's not going to be very well for us at the end. So I hope that this type of information goes out there, and many more people next year can participate remotely or physically present at the event. It doesn't matter, as long as this feedback from us, the users, is being listened by all these companies, all these policy makers from these governments, from these professional developers, from all these tools. So everyone can win in that aspect, and everyone is in the same channel. Of course, I do not agree with data collection. Sadly, there were sessions where they discussed data collection for artificial intelligence and for training artificial intelligence, and I don't think that is the what we as users prefer. At least me as a user, I prefer not having any data collected, and I would prefer that they probably found or find another way to train this artificial intelligence, so they avoid any data collection. But that's the point of view of the user, for example. But in this forum, this was not spoken about. No one addressed this argument that I'm putting now, because the civil society participation, it was very very small. It was only a 7-12%. So that's why it was not put on the table, this discussion, this argument. And that's why it is important for us as civil society to involve in this type of discussions, because in the United States, at least, I know of several persons that are actually participating in privacy, promoting privacy, and concerning and fomenting or promoting more awareness on the privacy aspect of technology and the data collection, how to avoid it, how to be more private, how to protect your privacy. And I didn't see many of these persons or these institutions in these type of forums where they actually discuss all this in a more impactful way. So I saw that as a waste opportunity from these people that talks about privacy and all this stuff that works with institutions in the United States. But I felt it like it was a very waste opportunity for them to actually participate in that type of events. And that talks by itself, because as long as these persons are very centered in their own countries, things are not going to change very much, because these type of issues are addressed at the international level mostly, and the real impact and the real results are obtained at participating in these kind of events, not at the local level. It is not the same reach that you can have if you try to involve in this. So I saw that there's these people that are actually defending privacy and all this type of issues or matters or subjects. I don't know how to express it very well. Excuse me for that. Or themes. I don't know. I think it's subjects or issues. they are not having the impact that they could have, because the leading country, or the leading government body that is actually being very innovative is the European Union. They are leading the way in this type of regulations and governances and policies, because they have the GDPR, which is the privacy, the data collection, and how to protect all this privacy in that situation, how to regulate all that. They have many other privacy and encryption laws that they're developing and policies, so they can handle all this situation very well. So they are leading all this. They have a leadership role in this aspect, and they even discussed this in this forum. So I guess the United States is missing the opportunity to have a greater impact in all this, by isolating themselves from all these international forums and events. And of course, there were teams from the United States. Of course, they did participate in a way, but I'm talking about specifically the privacy and all these related to privacy specifically, because of course they were teams from the United States that actually participated at a more technical level, but I'm talking about the user-based level that was missing in this, and all these activists and promoters of privacy that are user civil society based in the point of view of the users, of us as users. It will be I think that they missed the opportunity to actually try to participate in a way, and try to discuss these things and put these subjects on the table. I think it would have been a very good opportunity to do it. I hope that the next year many of these persons, or people involved in this type of activism, can know about this type of events and actually try to participate, so we can have a bigger representation as a civil society in this type of events. So, well, I'm gonna pass to the another subject. I have here is the official web page from this forum. You just put the IGF, Internet Governance Forum 2024, and immediately the when you seek this information, immediately it throws you out of this official page. So where there is the official page, if anyone is watching this, that is interested in more about this kind of subjects of issues, can enter this website and check out all this information that can be useful if you are interested, either way, to know more about this or to share this information with others. Well, so yeah, well, I'm going to speak about a little bit more about yeah, because I didn't like the other night live stream that I made, the 26th of December. The sound was very bad. I don't know exactly the reason why it sounded very, very bad, and I don't know. I will have to look into it. And apparently, my it was not on my end, because I didn't change any settings. So in the previous live streams, it was working very well, but for some reason that I don't know, in the 26th of December, the live stream that I made at night, the sound was very awful, and I didn't change any setting of my end, from my end. So I don't know if it was a technical issue from the uploading platforms when they upload the file, and some corruption happened in the sound. I don't know exactly what happened. I'm gonna test this time in English, and I'm gonna check out the sound after it gets published in different social media that I'm doing this live stream simultaneously. So I hope that it gets better sound than the 26th of December. And well, I'm gonna speak about other stuff that I was speaking in that same live stream. I spoke a little bit about some other distractions that are happening as I speak. and I'm gonna just address it very, very, very carefully and very, very. I'm not going to get a deep dive into them, because I don't want to enter into conspiracy theories or disinformation or misinformation or whatever they want to say it. And yeah, so there are some things going on right now in some narratives being pushed in the internet, and I don't know, they are trying to to create another distraction, and I don't know, I don't even see it. When I talked about it in Spanish, I was speaking very cautiously about it because there are many misinformation and disinformation, and I didn't want it to jump into the wagon quickly and fall into this disinformation stuff. So I was very cautious about it. I was only speaking about the videos that were shared by some users on Twitter, but I didn't speak much about it. As I said, there's just a bunch of videos that anyone can do with any computer system very easily, with artificial intelligence. So that is nothing. So that means nothing until we have a serious investigation that comes up with a document as the result of that investigation, formal and serious, from trusted sources. We cannot say much about it. So I talk about what I saw in those videos, but as I say, those videos doesn't mean anything. In today's world, a video is sometimes just a video that sometimes is not enough to talk about a subject so serious as this one. Sadly, it's not the first time that an airplane has been shut down by an accident or whatever reason you want to. There are other events in the past that have involved a civilian, a commercial airplane being shut down by mistake or whatever you want to say. That happened in Syria with with two countries. I'm not gonna say what countries, but happened with another Malaysian Airlines, not the one that was missing in 2014, but this was in 2017. Another Malaysian Airlines that was shut down by a missile. And it's not the first time that this type of situation happens. And the video shows some sharpnel, some there are suspicions of something happening, and there are evidence of some type of projectiles impacting on the fuselage of the plane and some parts of the wings. So we don't know. It's very, very, very soon to say. There were survivors, and they are speaking about it. I don't know what the survivors have spoken about. I haven't heard any interview, anything. So this is very fresh. Happened on the 25th of December. Very sad news because it was a very important day for this side of the world, and we were celebrating a moment of peace, a moment of reflection, a moment of family, and it was a bad news amidst that celebration, and it was a very bad news. And well, the investigation is still ongoing. I don't know if they have already come up with any um, any explanations about it. I don't know, but we will have to see until an official investigation, an official report is being brought out to the public. We will have to wait by the authorities, the authorities that investigate all the situation. And yeah, but it was a very bad situation happening there, and it's not the first time, sadly, that the plane is involved in this type of let's say it, in accidents or situations. And let's hope that this is not repeated in the future, that this type of events doesn't happen anymore. And it's very, very, very complicated, all the situation. They also talked about some invasion, some attack that occurred apparently in the Christmas Eve. I don't know about it. They say that some type of conflict was happening in the Christmas Eve around 24th, 25th of December in Russia and Ukraine. I don't know exactly what happened. Some people talked about that happening, and well, I hope that that was fake news because no one wants to talk about war and all the situations in those days in particular. So let's hope that everyone keeps peace always at the first, at the most important goal in these times, because we cannot allow having all these wars, very unnecessary wars that many times have no reason to be. Many times, many wars, many suffering, many violence. It doesn't have a reason to be happening. Always is not violence is never the way to fix things, to address anything. There are always other other solutions to any conflict, to any disagreement with anyone. But sadly, even in this century, when we should have learned about our mistakes in the past as humanity, we still fall into the same mistakes. But well, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I don't know why we as humanity have not understand about how to fix things, how to address things without using violence. I mean, after all the history that we had, and as humanity, I think that by this time, I don't know. I think we should have already learned the lesson about wars and how that doesn't fix anything, and there are no winners in war. I'm going to say it again. There are no winners in any war. You cannot talk about any winners. There are no winning sides in any war. Everyone loses when war exists and war happens. So no, that's something that we forget and we shouldn't. And well, and this situation with the migrants is a very complicated situation. I always say that we cannot overlook that many of these migrants are people, are humans, are human beings, and those human beings many times they have problems, they have dreams, they have they flee their countries because of persecution, because of suffering, because of violence, because of many situations that they do not choose. Many of these people, I don't think they want to leave their countries if everything was okay. So I think that we cannot overlook the human side of the human aspect of all this phenomena, this situation that happens around the world with migrants. We have to always remember the human side of all these people and to try to address these issues in the most human possible way, that we do not make the mistake of talking about xenophobia, or promoting or talking about discrimination, or criminalization of these kind of people, because they flee to other countries in a high percentages, in a high percentage, because they are suffering from some type of violence in their country, so they have to flee. And I don't think that anyone chooses to flee their country and to suffer the what they suffer when they are traveling, when they are trying to reach their destiny. Some people even die in that process. I don't think anyone chooses to do that by pleasure, and I think that that involves a much more serious situation going on, and I think that it has to be addressed in a very serious way, and not with these rhetorics where they talked about criminalizing all these people, and they try to dehumanize these people, and I think that's not the best approach for all these people. And in the end, with these type of narratives or rhetorics that try to criminalize migrants and try to put them into a criminal category, the only thing that these narratives do is enhancing or fueling the suffering of people of this type of problems, and it does not fix the issue, because it does not provide a solution, that does not provide a real solution for this problem. So I think that that's a subject, a theme, an issue, present issue that has to be addressed in a better way, and I believe there has to be a much better way than the way that we are actually in at the international level managing managing this situation. So I guess I hope that this can improve as well. I mean, I just hope that many people around the world can understand this. I always talked about it because I was I grown up I grew up in a Christian community, and I know all about the Christianity as well. I have read many passages from the Bible, and one thing that I remember about Jesus Christ that I say very often is that he was trying he was that Herod, I think it's Herodes tried to assassinate Jesus Christ when he wasn't even born, and he tried to kill many kids, many people, many kids, kids or babies, and, and the fathers of Jesus, Joseph and Mary, had to flee to other place. They had to flee their home country, their home place, and they had to flee to another place because they needed to flee uh, that situation that was violent and very dangerous, and they arrived to another place as migrants, and they tried to find a place to stay. They didn't find any place to stay, so that's why Jesus was born in a not the best place. He didn't born in the best place. He wasn't born in the best place because no one gave them shelter when they asked. Everyone talked about they been fooled, and they been fooled. I mean, they have no room, and they had to improvise a place. And in that place, that some people say that it was some type of cave where animals were in there as well, and that he was born in that place because of all that situation, that happened. And I guess we should not forget that aspect about Jesus Christ, in the Christianity world. That if we believe in Jesus Christ, and we want to believe in him, in his example and what he taught to us, well, we have to remember that he himself, Jesus Christ himself, was a migrant, and that he suffered persecution even when he was a baby, and for that reason he had to flee. His family had to flee to other country, to other place, to find or to try to seek safety. And that's one of the reasons that many actual modern migrants flee their countries, and they do this journey, this dangerous journey, where many of them lose their lives. And I guess it's a very misapproach when we talked about criminal gangs and all these situations, to try to criminalize these migrants. And I think we have to be I think we need to be very careful with that subject, with that aspect, because of course not all the migrants are bad people. There are people that does not choose to suffer from persecution or violence in their country, so they have to flee. Some of them are forced to flee. They don't want to flee, leave their countries, but they are forced to flee for security reasons, like Jesus did, Jesus' family did. And we cannot forget that if we think of ourselves as Christians, if we believe in Christianity, if we believe in Jesus, we cannot forget that part of his history. So if we consider ourselves as real Christians, real believers in Jesus Christ, we have to be more careful with the migrant narrative and rhetorics that are used by politicians to address this issue, this situation that happens, where many people overwhelm a country trying to seek refuge. And I think there are much better ways to actually address all that situation happening in many countries, not only the United States. But I think it's a very important aspect that we cannot forget about, and we have to think about it as well when we think about these people, because they are human beings, of course, and they are there for a reason. And many of them, no, they are not there just to because they are evil people, or they want to destroy a country. I mean, there are many people that are not in that situation, and they are actually fleeing for because in their countries they don't have security and many situations. I have seen these people myself. I have even spoke with some of these type of persons that are considered migrants, and their histories, many of them are just good people that suffer from persecution or bad governments or political persecution, or they are journalists and they are forced to flee because they sometimes do good jobs in journalism, in activism, and sometimes bad governments do this and they push these people to do this type of take these type of decisions that are not easy ones to make. And we should be aware of this, because sadly in Latin America there are many criminal gangs indeed, and those criminal gangs many times they took over some places, territories, and many times these people are like terrorists indeed. They behave like terrorists, and they try to use fear to drive away people in fear, and they threaten innocent people many times. They threaten the family of journalists, of politicians, and they even kill politicians. They even handle many situations. So sometimes some people have a very bad experience in their countries because of who they are, because of they are honest, hardworking people. They are investigative journalists that do a very good job. And sadly, this sometimes the criminal side of all these gangs and all these situations sometimes is involved in this migration. And I think that put the migrants in the same box and the same place as the criminal that are pushing even sometimes this type of phenomena for whatever reason is very 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 problematic for everyone. So I hope that next year all this situation is addressed accordingly, and that this pressure, this international pressure, is put on the criminals, not on the innocent migrants that are actually seeking for safety. And sadly, sometimes many governments in Latin America are not the best governments. Sometimes even some of them are either very authoritarian, or some even are dictatorships. And sometimes these people doesn't treat well those people that they don't like. That's a sad reality that happens in many places in Latin America. And I don't know, Mexico is not exempt from all these problems, and let's hope that this situation can be addressed very in the best way, so this type of phenomena that of the migration and many other type of phenomena that happen around um, um, all these contexts in these places, in these areas, can be solved, or can be the situation can be improved, so many of these people doesn't suffer from this type of situations, and don't these situations don't put these people in the place where they have to choose to flee their country and become a migrant, and this becomes a problem in another countries from the north, like Canada, United States, even Mexico ourselves. And I guess that is a very very complex problem, and I believe that the best way to approach it is it has to be in a more participative way. But sometimes this type of issues cannot be addressed very softly as well. So I don't know. Let's hope that everything goes for the best in this situation. Very complicated, and and that peace and stability can be reached for all these regions in the world. That I believe that we are all in the same page. That all these regions deserve stability, peace. That they don't live in fear. That they don't live with violence in their countries as well. and that we can have security, because everyone in problematic countries with violence and gangs, we all as peaceful citizens, the citizens of these countries, that we actually uphold the law and respect the law and live by the law and want to have peace in our countries. Sometimes we all want that. We all that stability, that economic prosperity, and that our countries are doing well in many aspects of our life, so we can have security. We don't live with fear. We live at peace, and we can go out in the streets without any fear of being shot down by a gang, or robbed, or whatever. And I believe that people in all these countries, in Latin America, United States, everywhere, we want all this, and let's hope that this next year all these problems are being solved, so that we can achieve all that for all this region that is America, a very very complex part of the world. But we need there's a lot of work to be done in this place, in many subjects, in many areas. And I believe that maybe with the next presidency in the United States, we see a good opportunity to finally address these problems in a better and more efficient way. Well, I was talking about this. I just wanted to make a summary of the things that I spoke about in Spanish in 26th of December, and trying to practice my English a little bit, to be honest, because sometimes I don't speak that often, and the only way I can do it is talking with people that I know from other countries that speak in English, and or even exercises like this. That sometimes is the only ways that the only places where one can actually try to practice these other languages that I spoke, and to not lose, because if you don't practice your any language that you start to forget about some words, and you start to forget how to speak it very fluently. And I don't want that to happen in this case. But well, I just want to say that I was looking at a character, a personage, well, not a character, an activist that I sometimes follow, and that is from the United States. I also talked about this New Jersey situation, this Luigi situation happening in the United States, and I talked about it in Spanish, and I saw it as a distraction. I saw this narratives being pushed as a distraction, because I've been showing the main problem that is trying to be that these narratives try to hide. And I always say that these narratives always hide the real problem that the United States has, and it cannot be overlooked by its people. I think they have to be very aware of this and not fall into these distractions, because they are facing a very 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 big problem. And I was speaking about how funny enough these distractions from Luigi and this New Jersey drone stuff happened almost at the same time, when they were discussing in the lower chambers and the higher chambers of the Congress, just at the very same time that they were actually discussing this in the lower and higher chambers of the Congress. The approval of this initiative to of this bill, if you want to say it, bill to increase the top of the debt. You see, when they were trying to prevent the nation hitting the debt ceiling, I was talking about all these being a distraction to keep all the American people from seeing this big problem that they have. very very curious that in the same dates that they were actually debating all this, apparently all these distractions from the New Jersey drones and all these other distractions with Luigi guy happened magically, magically happened. And you see they were about to reject this bill, and they were discussing about the possibility of a partial close from the government, that the government is going to be partially closed because they didn't have enough money for meet their obligations. So this was a very serious subject that it was being discussed in these days. Apparently, at the very same days when this Luigi narrative happened with this circus happened with New Jersey drones. I say it and I will repeat it. Those were distractions from keep American people from the real problem that they have, and I would be if I were an American living in the United States, paying my taxes like everyone does, and find out about this and these governments financing wars in another countries that they don't. I mean, in other places. I'm not gonna say even where, but anyone knows where. I mean, I of course I will not be happy in that situation. So for me, it was very clear what was happening there, and I think the American people, many are aware of all these distractions, how they work, and all these situations. But it was a very serious issue that they are been suffering from at least 3 or 4 years now. So I guess that this was a very key issue, a key bill being discussed, and it's a very serious, very serious problem that the next president Donald Trump is gonna have to deal with once he gets into office, and it's not looking good at all. It's not looking good at all. So I don't know what's going to happen in this next year, 2025. We are just a few days from ending 2024. We are at 27th of December, and the Tuesday, 2024 says goodbye, and in Wednesday we start with 2025, a new fresh year. And I don't know what's going to happen. 2024 was very chaotic, very chaotic, very problematic. Even at the weather level, there were many hurricanes here in Mexico. We had the Dana happening in Spain. We have hurricanes hitting the west coast of America. I think Miami. I don't know if it's yes the west coast. Well, one of the coasts from the United States, coasts from the coast of the United States. I sounded like ghosts. I'm sorry. I mean, lack of practice sometimes can be a little bit problematic when you don't use a language. Well, but I don't know. It was very chaotic at the economic as well. Economic, at the politic level, at the weather level, and many levels. It was a very chaotic year. Let's hope that the 2025 year is more peaceful, more stable, more diverse, more open, less divisive, less conflictive, less closed, more open, more tolerant. And I guess that this is we need this. We need to work for a more inclusive, peaceful, prosperous world for everyone, not just for a few, but for everyone. And I think that that's possible. That is possible if everyone understands that we are all a big family. We need to forget about countries, about labeling, about these labels that these labels that often only leads to division instead of union. And if we keep thinking about countries, about nationalities, about religion, about I don't know, degrees or something like that, or about politics, being from one side, Republican or Democratic, from this party of this other party, all this me and you and me and this I'm on this side, so if you're on that side, so you are my adversary. That kind of mentality is not good. That mentality of you versus me or me versus you is not leading us to any safe harbor. It's not leading us to any safe harbor. And I remember listening to a religious leader talking about labeling, how that can be dangerous. I think it was 1 or 2 years back, a few years back. And now that I'm looking back, he was actually right. This labeling is dividing us. We are forgetting that we all have red blood under our skin, in our veins. We all bleed the same color red. There are no princes that have blue blood. No, every single one of us, under our skin, in our veins, we all have red blood. We all have cells. We all have DNA. We all have dreams. We all have hopes. We all have families. We all have loved ones, and we all have desires to be successful, to prosper, to be good, to thrive. And we should remember that in the first place, we all are human beings. We all are part of a big family. And before thinking about this person is from this religion, this person is from that country is conflictive, that country this, that country that, this person doesn't have this, doesn't have that, his skin is brown, his skin is white. Before all that labeling, I agree that we have to start seeing each other as a big family. And doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter how much education or degrees you have, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. We are all much more similar than we think. Sometimes I remember a song from, I think it was the Exes, that it is called "Different Than You," the song. And I think that song is very very important, because sometimes we believe that we are very different when we are not. Deep down, we are human beings. And I remember these lyrics, and I remember that song. I used to listen to it when I was younger. I was in junior high, junior high, and I remember listening to this song. And back in the day, I didn't understand very well the meaning of this song. I actually didn't understand very well. I just liked the music. I liked the music and how it sounded, and I just listened it because of that. I didn't understand the lyrics about it or anything like that. But now that I listened it the other day. I listened it the other day, a few days ago. I listened to it again, and it had a new meaning for me. I finally understand that part of the lyrics that I just didn't care about it when I was in junior high. Um, I only cared about well, the music, the guitars and all this stuff. And I think it's very interesting now that I actually listened to it the other day. When it actually reflects upon it. When he was a little younger, he was very naive. Like he said, he was so angry, he was so full of pride, lost in opinions and innuendos, knew everything that you didn't know. And I used to think that I was sure I was right, and that I knew the truth from a lie. I was stupid when I was young. I was stupid to think that I was, so different than you. Exactly, that part of us that blinds us. Sometimes blinds us, when we think we have the ultimate truth, the absolute truth, and we know better than anyone else in the world, and we are right because we say so, and everyone else is wrong because I am right. I have the absolute right, the absolute truth. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I have been speaking in Spanish. When we think that much of ourselves, when we are so blind, so prideful, we lost sight of reality, and we believe that the other is wrong. He is wrong because he doesn't accept my mindset, my truth, what I believe. So he has to be wrong. I'm not wrong. He has to be wrong. He's the evil. He's a bad person. He's a Satanist. He's a Satan worshipper, and that is wrong. That is just, well, in the song it says, he was so stupid. I'm sorry, but I think that now that I listen to it, I even myself, when I was younger, when I was very young, when I was in junior high, I made this mistake. When there was a time when I used to think that I had all the answers, that I had the absolute ultimate truth, and everyone else was wrong. And it was a little bit of pride, and sometimes that pride blinds people, and sometimes that leads to problems. The problems that we see in today's world. And it hit me. It really hit me, that song, when I listened to it again after a few years. Now that I'm a little bit older and I understand what it meant, and I think that many times I see this happening. I see this situation happening, and sometimes it falls down to even stupidity. To be honest, sometimes people are so stubborn in some aspects in their lives. They become so blind for that pride, and they do stupid things, to be honest, and that leads to other kind of problems. The song talks about jealousy, and being a bit cold, and liars and lies, and losing respect. you know Losing respect for other people, that just because they think different. And I'm sad to say, I'm not gonna say who, but I'm just gonna say I read today, or in these past 2-3 days. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to make personal anything. I'm not gonna say the name. I'm just gonna say that he's a billionaire, a very influential billionaire in today's world. I'm not gonna say the name, but it's a very influential billionaire from the modern world, from the present world. That I think I read a tweet that where he said that he didn't respect anyone that wanted to some country. I'm not gonna say what country, that wants to some country goes bad, or is doing bad. That once that country does not do well, and that person said that he didn't respect those persons. That doesn't want that country does well. Those people that wants that country is doing bad. He has no respect for those people. And when I listen to this, when I was remembering this song, actually it says, had no respect for you, only myself. So I guess that sometimes in the modern world, we see people, billionaires or influencers, that fall into this same mistake. And like he says, had no respect for you, only myself. A memory I'm not so fond of as well, and I can only say I was wrong. So you cover me so I can move on. So it's like this, no? Sometimes people sometimes believe that it's very different and very different than others, and sometimes we forget that we are actually the same. We are everyone part of the same family, only with different names. We are human beings. And this song is very interesting for me, and I don't know, it's a little bit interesting. It hit me different, like they say, it hit me different. And now that I listen to it after a few years, and I don't know, I think some parts of it are very, very, very present in today's world. And how many times this believing that we are different, that we are better, leads people to to talk about xenophobic, to being xenophobic, or talk about xenophobia, or even criminalize migrants, and these type of situations, that is because we believe we are different than others. And We're actually not. We are all part of the same family, and when we believe that we have the ultimate truth, that we have the ultimate and absolute truth, and it has to be the way we say it because we know better, I think that's when we have problems. You can express your opinion, but one thing express your opinion, and another thing is listen to others. And there are people that express their opinions and doesn't listen to others very well. And sometimes there are people that express their opinions but are open to listening to others and accept and respect other opinions. And I believe that that is a problem that is very recurrent in some places, in some influential people, that when other people thinks differently, acts differently, or doesn't want the same thing as they want. Sometimes some people even say they don't respect other person just because they think different, because they don't believe the same things. Because not all wants that some country wants does well. They want their own countries to do well because they live in another place. Not everyone lives in that country, so you cannot expect or being so pretentious that everyone wants that your country does well. Not everyone lives in your country, right? There are 180 plus countries in the world, and when you hear billionaires and all these people talking about if a person doesn't want my country to do well, I have no respect for them. Well, that's problematic because there are 185 plus countries, and there are 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people in the world, and just because 7 billion and 700,000 million 7.8 billion people, 7.7 billion people that does not live in that country. Maybe that 7.7 billion people from all these other countries want their country to do well. I don't know if they will be apologizing because they don't want that one country does well. I don't know. I don't understand that kind of narrative, that kind of rhetoric. I think there's something happening in the world that we are forgetting about a human family. We are letting this labeling, this I'm from this country, I'm from that country. We are letting that divides us. So I don't know. I just is that is my point of view. I could be wrong. I could be right. It is not about that. It's not about who is right and who is wrong. It's about having a broader picture of things, I think, where I can be wrong and maybe other person can be wrong and maybe one or two can be more or less right, but there's no right or wrong. I believe that we have this mindset where the world is in two pieces, black and white. There's no other color. No? When the world is full of colors, diversity, differences, and not in the human aspect, but the culturally, differences technologically, differences in economics, differences in weather, differences in flora, fauna, whatever. Why do we choose sometimes to have a just two option world, white and black? What about green? What about blue? What about red? What about purple? What about all these other colors? I don't know why sometimes humanity chooses to have a mindset that only thinks in two sides. Me and them and me. Those that love my country and those that are against my country. It's not about that. I think that's becoming a very international. Well, no, I don't think international problem. It's becoming a problem from this part of the world, from North America and other pieces in South America maybe, and some other countries maybe in Europe, but I don't know much about Europe and Africa. I cannot talk about things that I don't know very well, but I know very well America and North America and what's happening. But I think from this part of the world we have this type of problems that has been exacerbating from the past few years because of bad politics, and I think it's having a toll in everyone in this part of the world, in America especially. And I don't know, I just, from what I know, I haven't seen this problem in Asia, for example. I don't see this problem happening in Asia, and I wonder why. Why in Asia don't have this toxic mindset? Why? Why in India they don't see to have this toxic mindset? Think about it. Why? Why only in the United States of America? Why only in Canada? Why only in Mexico? Why only in some places in South America? Why? Maybe in one or two places in Europe, like United Kingdom. Why? Why you don't see this in I don't know, in some places in Asia, in Japan? It is something that is very, I don't know, I'm just very curious about what's happening in this part of the world on this side. Is it the internet? I mean, could the internet is being used to do this type of problems, to the social engineer? Why China? Why Russia blocked all the American internet companies like Google, YouTube, and all these? Why they have their own WhatsApp? Why they don't use WhatsApp? Why they use WeChat in China? Why they don't use Facebook in Russia? Why they use Big Contact? And so far and so on, so far and so on. Why in Japan they use alternative media? They don't use. I don't. As far as I know, they don't use YouTube as much as we do. They have other platforms. Why? Sometimes I think about myself. Why? Why they do that, and why they don't have the same problems as we do? Apparently, I don't know. Just some thoughts that I'm putting out there. But sometimes it makes you wonder why, right? And what is behind it. So well, that's just some questions that I'm putting out there. So if anyone sees this, can exercise critical thinking, because critical thinking is becoming very very important in today's world, in this infrastructure of communications we have. But well, I'm just gonna end this one here. I have an hour and a half in video. So far as I've been monitoring this on my smartphone, so far so good. I think the sound is good so far, at least in the stream. I'm gonna wait to see if the live stream when is the live stream is saved in my timeline. It doesn't sound bad. I'm just gonna wait for that. Becoming very very important in today's world, in this infrastructure of. So I just hope that the sound is not problematic. I've been monitoring this on my. Once I stop using it, I hope that doesn't become problematic, the sound. And I'm gonna try something here just to keep monitoring the sound to see if it sounds different. I'm just gonna check this one. I'm just gonna wait for that. But I don't know, just some thoughts. I'm putting these thoughts out there. The sound is not problematic. Once I but yeah, just putting some thoughts out there. So maybe I can promote or fuel in people that sees this a little bit more about critical thinking. I've been talking about critical thinking, and for me it's no surprise that many countries are starting to forbid, well, not forbid, but prevent from kids having a social media participation, unless their parents are involved, because as in my point of view, I think people that are minors that are 17 and lower, and in age on age, that have an age lower than 17, I think they need to be trained to properly use internet, because there's too much disinformation, misinformation, hate speech, fake news, and all these phenomena happening in the internet, that I believe that the best way is to teach them about these risks before they enter the jungle of the internet, so they can be aware of all these things, and they protect themselves. I believe it is becoming more important. I see that some states in the United States are doing this. I think Australia is doing this, and I think that's it's not very exaggerated to think about that. To be honest, I don't see that as an exaggeration, an overreaction. If I want to put it in another words, I don't think that's overreacting. And then I don't know. I think that at least some international institutions, I don't know that some institutions that participate at the international level, some of them are not very well. They don't have a very positive opinions in the United States, like the United Nations. But to be honest, many of the critics of the United Nations are fake news itself by itself. In the United States, there are a lot of fake news about the UN. To be honest, there are many groups that don't like the UN because sometimes they see it as a competition in the political grounds, in the influence at the political level at the international stage. That's the honest opinion I have about it. And many of these narratives that are being pushed against the United Nations are just fake news, are just conspiracy theories. And sadly, there are some things that are not very well as well. There are some, how do I say it? It's not perfect. The UN is not perfect at all. It has some issues, of course. There is it doesn't exist the perfect institution. Every institution has levels of corruption, of problems, of whatever. No, you name it. But every institution in this world, because no one is perfect, there is no perfect institution that doesn't have a level of corruption, a level of problems, a level of disorganization, a level of issues going on inside. There are many people in organizations, and sometimes these type of situations happens in everywhere in the world. And I think that sometimes the narratives against the UN are very exaggerated and are overreacted. But overall, in the overall grounds, I think that it's a fair organization. Let's say it's a fair organization that is doing its best to push back against warmongering, fear-mongering, against all these conflicts that are happening at the international stage. And they're trying their best, I think. And of course, it's not perfect. There are people inside that organization that might be corrupt, might be misled, might be doing some not very well things. But that happens everywhere around the world, in many institutions and many levels. And I think that sometimes these narratives inside the United States are unfair, and many times are not very well documented very well. How do I say it? They don't have very good documentation to back that narrative up. Many times there are just opinions, speculations, and conspiracy theories. So I don't know. I think that people have to think critically and try to see things for themselves, experiences things from themselves, and not let other people give you their opinion and you absorb that opinion as yours. You have to create your own opinion, your own point of view, your own experience of life, of everything. So well, wherever, I'm just gonna make a little bit more of time here so I can keep monitoring this sound. I think it's going to be sound okay in the recording once it gets saved in my social medias. So I hope that it doesn't sound bad, because the 26th of December, the last night, the other night live stream that I made, 26th of December, sounded awful. And I was talking about some things that I liked, and I hope that this time everything seems to be, at least in the monitor of the audio in my side, is everything looking good. And I hope that it sounds good once it is recorded. Well, if anyone is actually listening to or watching this, well, maybe it's not my first intention to do this as I'm looking for views. Maybe that's not my main goal. But if anyone is here with me right now watching this on the other side of the screen, well, thank you for listening to this, for taking the time. And I hope that my English doesn't suck that much. I think that I can still defend myself in this language. and I am trying to be as clear as I can when I pronounce it, because the pronunciation sometimes is difficult, and when you don't practice it, it becomes a little bit difficult to remember some words. Even sometimes you forget about one or two words very specific, but I'm trying to keep it, to keep my my English at a good level. And well, I repeat, we are at 27 of December, 21:38 at night, 9:38 at night, December 27 of December of 2024. And I just wanted to put this one out there, and I don't know, maybe you share about this here and there thoughts about one of two aspects. I've been just to mention in English that I have been uploading some live streams as a personal exercise to keep a follow up on some issues and stuff that I I I I want to keep a track of some of these things. And I'm doing it in Spanish mainly, because obviously I'm from Mexico. My first language, my mother language is Spanish. It's not English, but I wanted to practice as well in this exercise, this other language, and maybe others. I probably tried to practice them, and I know that I have more contacts in my social media that speak English than Spanish, because sometimes I only have this I prefer to use these platforms to keep in touch with people that live in other places that I cannot see personally that often. But I don't want to say that much as well, neither. I don't want to give away all my secrets of of my social media. I say that much, well, I'm not gonna say more. But I think that it is important in today's world to use these technologies the best we can, to not be afraid to use them. There are many fear mongering talks in technology, and some people that talks about privacy. They are only fear mongering. They are only trying to fear monger for other reasons that you don't know why, but they have their own interests. So they use privacy as an excuse to fear monger about technology, to keep you invisible in the digital world. And some people try to push the narrative to take you to an extreme, to the extreme of fear mongering with technology, so you don't use it. But I think in reality and in the long run, that is a mistake, because you can use these technologies without going that being that extreme. I've seen a few years back, even I think I saw the Facebook guy, this how is his name, Zuckerberg, I think. Yeah, I saw this Facebook guy in a video. I even saw him putting duct tape in his laptop camera, and I was like, "What? He's doing that?" And yeah, I mean, I think that level of that extreme of privacy is not the best approach of all these things. And yeah, you can be private, but you can be private in a smart way, without losing these type of technologies, and without going that to that level of extreme. You can use these technologies and still be on them, and don't lose privacy. So I think that we as social as a social civil society, excuse me, we need to use more often these type of technologies to keep talking about important issues, and to keep promoting justice, keep promoting peace, keep promoting transparency, keep promoting good values, moral values, good ethics. Keep pushing back against corruption, for example. We can use this to keep pushing back against all that corruption, lies, I, maybe even fake news. If we use these technologies in a secure way, in a private way, we can push back against corruption, against lies, fake news, bad politics, bad politicians, all these narratives that are being used to confuse people. And I don't know. I mean, if evil do use these technologies to push their agendas, their bad narratives, and sometimes we see these. I see these people that are on the good side that doesn't do anything, and I feel like, well, I mean, we're leaving the stage to the bad people, and we should, as good people, we should be on stage too as well, pushing good narratives and all this stuff. And well, I have to say, then there are some talking about people that are trying to push beliefs and a positive message and a positive way of life. You talk about religion, about spiritual leaders, about community leaders. There are some of them that are actually trying to push back, and and I see, in India, a religious leader. Well, I don't think he's he's kind of a religious leader because he's from Hinduism, trying to push back against being aware of all this stuff, trying to see a good way of all these situations, trying to manage all these situations happening in a good way with meditation and stuff. I've seen the Pope as a Christian representative trying to push back against violence, trying to push back against wars, trying to push back against this fear mongering, warmongering, with promoting peace, talking about having peace, talking about being aware of this stuff, trying to be positive, trying to keep Christ in the center. And some other leaders as well, religious leaders, they're not doing anything. They don't even post anything on the internet. They don't post anything on social media. And sometimes you wonder why, why they are not pushing back against this fear mongering, warmongering, this sort of stuff. I don't know. I cannot answer the answer myself. They have to answer for themselves if anyone asks them. But it is not my place to answer that question. But I don't understand. Sometimes I even saw, I didn't like it, to be honest. I saw, I think is the Buddhist leader. I don't know the name. I don't remember the name. But he one day was pushing this artificial intelligence narrative. I didn't like that one. I was like, what? The Buddhist leader pushing the artificial intelligence narrative. I didn't like that one, for example. I've seen other spiritual, religious leaders, community leaders talking about good stuff. But I remember I didn't understand why. I just didn't understand why this Buddhist leader, I don't remember the name, talked about artificial intelligence. I was like, what? But well, that's my point of view. I still to this day don't understand why a religious spiritual leader talk about technology. I mean, it doesn't add up to me, to be honest. That's my point of view. I just wanted to talk about it, to put it in my live stream, and that was something that felt odd to me. I don't know, I just didn't expect it, because sometimes many religious leaders keep that a little bit off the loop and focus on other stuff. But well, I don't know. I don't understand all things neither. I'm not a wise guy. I cannot be the wise guy neither. I guess that everyone has their own reasons, and sometimes we do the best to understand it. Sometimes we don't understand it, and sometimes we don't like it. Sometimes we do, but that's just my opinion. Everyone else has their own opinions, and that's okay. But well, I'm gonna finish this live stream. Is 9:50. I think it's 9:47. 9:47 from 27th of December. It's Friday, and many people is on vacation, so I'm trying to do these dates, because in these dates I have more time. We all have more time to to do other things, and I'm trying this thing to get a hold of all these technologies, these tools that we have to make this possible, this type of live streams. And I hope that I don't suck at it, and I'm just trying uh, to be good at it a little bit, one step at a time. I don't have any other purpose than to dominate these tools the best I can. I'm not a technical expert in audio, in video. I'm just a regular Joe in terms of video and audio and in tools. I'm not an audio engineer, a video engineer, or whatever the name is, that a video editor and all this stuff. I'm just learning one step at a time, and I hope that I'm keeping a progress in this exercise. I'm trying to do this public because I think that it is a waste to do a live stream and just keep it completely private. I think that there's no fun in that. I think that I just keep it public, so be transparent about this specific thing. And maybe other reason, I have other reasons as well. I'm not gonna say it, but I think it's a good exercise to keep some type of contact of being in touch with some people, even if it is this way, because sometimes it is important as well. I remember one time I've heard about a guy talking about a religious leader, I think it was, talking about live your life as if it were an open book, an open book. So sometimes that is a good thing. Of course, you cannot be completely ultra open, because that will be the Truman Show. And it is not about the Truman Show. It is about living as transparent as you can, and as honest as you can, and as real as you can. One thing that I don't like is fakeness. When I see fake people putting themselves all these filters, and it's okay if they like them, it's okay. I just don't. Personally, I don't. So I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm just saying if they like them, it's okay. If they like to use them, if they feel good about using them, that's okay. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that I prefer to be real, as real as keeping it real, like they say. I like to keeping it as real as I can, because honesty also goes to yourself. You have to be honest to yourself, and if you don't have you're not honest to yourself, then I think you going to disrespect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, being honest to yourself, if you lie to yourself about who you are, how you look, I think that I don't like. And me personally, I think that's a problem. That's you don't respect yourself in that sense, I think. And well, it's a very personal point of view. Of course, I could be wrong. Many people may think differently. It's okay. It would be very boring if all people think the same way, or have a one single thought, or everyone think exactly the same. That would be very boring, and that's the beauty of life. So I just wanted to say that, and to be honest, to make a little bit extra of time, so I can reach the 2 hour marks, and to see how this audio the audio result of this live stream as well in English, to see how I sound in English. I hope I am very clear. I don't think I have many problems. I hope not. But I'm curious about the 26th of December live stream that sounded bad. I'm curious about it, but well, I'm just gonna end up in the 2 hour mark, and just to say that before I finish that, we are a few days ago from ending the 2024 year. Let's hope that the next year is a very good year, that is a very positive year, that is a year full of dreams, of goals that we can achieve, that we can do everything to achieve wherever goal we put to ourselves, that are good goals, that we can work about in them. We can reach those goals as well. and I think we all can do it if we all work on it. And it's about perseverance, constancy, and discipline. I think those are key aspects to success. It doesn't need sometimes you don't need that much of a talent to actually accomplish something good. I think it's more about perseverance, consistency, and discipline. To be, if you say you're gonna do something, you do it. Doesn't matter if you're tired, if you don't have the energy. If you keep doing your goals, what you say you're going to do, if you keep your money where your mouth is, if you keep being a man of having, if you have a word and you respect that word, that's very important because many people doesn't have that quality anymore. It's very difficult to find commitment in things, to be honest, and it's very complicated to find people that are disciplined, that are committed, that work on their goals, that they don't give up on their goals. Sometimes many people just drop out. You know, I have found many dropouts. For example, in exercise is one of the most difficult habits to make, and many people drop out. Many people drop out, and it's complicated. I just made an 3-day challenge in exercise. It was not easy, but it's worth it. I think when I'm looking back and I say, well, those 30 days actually were a good thing, and I'm trying to keep in every day. I hope that I can do it every day for the rest of the mortal life, but it's not easy. But that is what makes a difference. I think that is what makes a difference, and it happens with many things. And it happens with many things. And keep your focus as well. I'm gonna say this to actually like talking to myself, like reminder to myself. It's a little bit funny, but I'm gonna do it as a reminder to myself, to keep focused, because in today's world there are many things. There are distractions that try to keep you from actually accomplishing your own goals. I have to say it because man, sometimes it's too much, to be honest. And sometimes these distractions are even some type of tests, that it's ugly, but sometimes they feel like tests, just to see how much you are going to be committed to something. And I don't like tests, to be honest. I don't like I don't think that is not cool, but sometimes it feels that way. And I don't know, just keep your focus, keep doing what it's your main goal, your objective, your purpose, whatever it is, whatever you are committed to. I think in today's world they try to keep that attention from people, so they lose focus and they lose their main goal. But fortunately there are many things in that aspect that only matters and you have complete control, so they can throw at you all these distractions that they want. But if you in the end you do not let these distractions to make you look to another place where you are actually looking what you are aiming for, that's part of what it is about. I think that is an important thing, especially because we live in some people even say that we live in some type of Truman show. I have heard some persons that are very well informed in the world things, that sometimes those people say, no, we live in a Truman show, it's all a Truman show. I have heard them say more than one time, we all live in the Truman show. Just be aware of that and focus on your things, on what you know is okay and what you feel is okay and what is good for you, and just don't get distracted in the Truman show. Sometimes I've heard those people say that, and I don't know why they say it. They say it for a good reason. And sometimes there are people that have a lot of knowledge in the world and how the world operates. And if they say it, these people that if they say it, I listen to that. So I just wanna put this as a reminder to myself. If anyone is looking at it, maybe found it interesting. I don't know, but I think sometimes that applies. Sometimes it applies to the dynamics of the world, the complexity of the world. Sometimes I put myself in some things that I see. It looks like the Matrix. I say, as a reference to the movie The Matrix. When there are many artificial, there's an artificial reality that is made to deceive. So I sometimes when I see some news, I say to myself, well, that sounds like the Matrix. But whatever, just going to end this one. And I appreciate if anyone was here watching this live stream. There is kind of a sound test in English to see how it sounds. I think I sound myself. I think as far as I have been listening to these 2 or 3 live streams in English, I think I like how much more how I sound in English than in Spanish. Is funny. It's funny. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the electronics, or I don't know. But I sometimes kind of like more how I listen to myself in English than in Spanish. Maybe it's just me, right? But whatever. I'm just appreciate whatever whoever is just watching this. I hope that if I don't make any other live stream in English before New Year's Eve, I hope that you spend a very good end of this year and celebrate the start of a new year. It is an accomplishment by itself to finally reach the end of a year and start a new one. Is some type of accomplishment, and that whatever goal you put to yourself for this new 2025, you can achieve it, you can manage to accomplish it, you can have success, you can have a good 2025 year, whoever you are. And I hope that the world, for every one of us, for every single person in the world, is better, that is more peaceful, that is more inclusive, more tolerant, less divisive, and less full, less labels being in the world. That we have less labeling, and we have more focus in what makes us together. Common humanity, common dreams. Everyone wants the best, and let's hope that this 2025 we all remember this kind of stuff, and we forget about wars and conflicts and divisive stuff and intolerances and hate speech and all that stuff that doesn't help. That we can actually start to take care of our planet, because it's our home. We don't have another planet B. There's no other planet to to move out if with this one is not okay. So I hope that we can achieve this kind of consciousness in the next year. Well, I say goodbye for this live stream. Maybe I do tomorrow a live stream early, maybe in Spanish. Maybe a little bit later. Maybe I wait up until the night. It's going to be a surprise where I'm going to live stream in this Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to say the time, but I'm going to do it in those 2 days. So if you want to see it, well, you are welcome to see it. I made this as an exercise to be to keep becoming a better user of these tools from live stream. But if you want to see them, maybe they are in Spanish. If you can understand Spanish, well, you're welcome to unite, to join. And maybe I made another one in English soon, probably. And well, I appreciate whoever is watching this. If you're in Mexico, United States, or wherever part in the world you're watching this, well, I appreciate it. And I see